going on? So once again, this is a tour around Charlotte, and what I'm going to be talking about today is North Carolina being an open and carry state. Now, for those that are not familiar with the term, open and carry state means that you can carry a gun out in the open. So if you have, the proper paperwork in order to have that particular gun, or should I say firearm, whether it's a rifle or whether it's a handgun, you can actually take that rifle, strap it around your back, and carry it outside. Or if you have a handgun, you can put it on a holster, put it on your hip, and carry it outside. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is because if you plan on living in North Carolina, you're going to have to get used to firearms because a lot of people have them. And there are a lot of people that have them legally, and there are a lot of people that have them illegal. And the thing of it is you want to be able, if you haven't already, you want to be able to practice your right to bear arms. Second Amendment, your right to bear arms and protect and defend your castle. These days and times, when you have the Boogaloo boys out there, the Proud Boys, all these white militias that just popped up out of nowhere that we thought, well, at least I knew, and Pretty Ricky did, but far as general pop didn't even know that these white militias and white supremacist groups existed. Now that we know, we need to be prepared, especially minorities. And it's just that plain and simple. I understand that you may have a fear for a firearm, but you got to get over that fear. And you have to put yourself in a position where you'll be in a situation where you can protect and defend yourself as well as your family if you have one. It's just that plain and simple. I understand that if you're in these northern states, you're not allowed to have a firearm. But here in North Carolina, you're allowed to have a firearm. That plain and simple, and a lot of people have them. So I'm going to take you through what I had to go through in order to, get my firearms. So I'm going to take you step by step. You ready? Here we go. So I've mentioned him quite a few times in these videos, my friend named Pretty Ricky, right? So, Pretty Ricky most recently moved down here around last year this time. And, he was always into firearms. I'm going to continue to say firearms because you don't want to say guns, you don't want to say blicking, you don't want to say sticks. That is not the proper term to use when addressing a weapon, especially if you get stopped by the cops. And I'm going to address that as well. So, firearm. So he's been around firearms for years upon years upon years. I mean, his mom's did security. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Pretty Ricky, she once was a police officer. I don't know for sure, but he's been around firearms mostly all his life, right? So he came down here, make the long story short, we reunited because it was a friendship that was kind of like, we had a gray area where we weren't talking to one another, right? So, we wound up talking to one another, and he put me on to 2A, the right to bear arms. So, my background far as dealing with firearms, I dealt with firearms illegally. I've shot off a few firearms. I've been around firearms. If you're around people, if you're in the hood or around hood people, you're going to see a firearm. It's just going to be something normal. So I never knew anything about gun safety, how to rightfully hold a firearm. I knew nothing, absolutely nothing. I went to the range one time when I was about 23 or 24, something like that. So I absolutely knew nothing. So he had to actually teach me, right? So, I would go to him, I would go to the range with him, and, I didn't have a firearm, but he did, you know what I'm saying? So I would shoot off his firearms, and to make the long story short, he told me, being that you're a newbie to this, you should get a GSG 1622 LR. because of the recoil on it, it doesn't pull back like that. You see what I'm saying? It's really, really smooth. So for anyone, that is a good firearm to get, or rather rifle to get, because it has no recoil. For women, for children, it's an easy learned firearm. Like you can easily learn it. You know what I'm saying? So my first purchase was that. I ordered it online, and then after that I had to find an FFL. Now, of course, Pretty Ricky put me onto it. And I'm going to tell you what FFL means or stands for. So of course, Pretty Ricky put me onto it. We had the firearm sent to Ballantyne gun range, right? So FFL means Federal Firearm License. So anyone that has an FFL can have your gun sent to them, and they'll hold it. Then after that, you have to go and sign, fill out an application. Basically, it's forms, and that gets sent to the FBI, right? And your firearm gets registered. And based on the FBI, whether they're doing a background check and all the rest of that stuff, and everything comes back clear, you're good. If you don't have any domestic violence, felonies or domestic violence, armed robbery and stuff like that, you're good. So I had to wait a week, because I purchased my firearm last year in July, and there was a pandemic. People were buying firearms left and right, just like they're doing now, right? So I had to wait like a week. That's abnormal, right? Like over a week, right? So I went and I purchased it. I went and I picked it up. The GSG 16 cost me $400, and then the FFL charged me $50 to get it sent there. So it was a total of $450, and plus I had to buy ammunition. And for the GSG 16, it takes 22 LR ammunition. So that ammunition is pretty cheap. It runs about $14 per box. It's 50 in a box. So I'll show it to you. And just want to let y'all know that it's clear. As you can see, it's clear. So this is the GSG 1622 LR. Pretty firearm. Pretty. And I have it on safety as well. And you can stand it right here. And I don't want to definitely aim it, But as you can see, and this is the proper way that you would actually hold your firearm. Never touch this trigger for nothing unless you plan on firing it. Always make sure that your firearm is on safety. And when you lay it down at a range, you always wanted to lay it like this so you can see if there's anything in the chamber, right? So let me put this down. So that was my first firearm, right? Then after that, I wanted to, get a handgun. Now handguns are different. With this, all you have to do, the GSG 1622 LR, or shotgun or rifle, or any kind of rifle, with that, all you have to do is just go online or go to a store, purchase it, and the FFL is there. Hey, you can fill out the proper paperwork, and I say on a normal basis, and it'll come back in a couple of hours from the FBI. You get approved for it or whatever have you. You take it, you leave, you purchase it, and you take it that day. Now a handgun is totally different. A handgun is you have to get permits for that, and you can get up to as many permits as you want. The permits are like $5 per permit, if I'm not mistaken. I bought 2, and with a permit, you can purchase a handgun. So my second weapon, or firearm rather, was the Canik Tp9sf 9mm, right? And I'll show you all that. So there's nothing in the chamber. It's clear. No magazine. And of course I'm gonna hold it like this. So this is the Canik Tp9sf. And this, I went and purchased that at Pro Bass Shop, I forgot which. I think it was whichever one is. I think it's Pro Bat Shop at on Concord Mills. That cost me about $4 and some change, right? Okay, so you know I have 2 permits. So the second permit I'm going to use is I'm thinking about getting a 6 Sawyer P320, you know, as my EDC. EDC is everyday carry, right? Now I don't have a CCW. That's the next thing next step I'm going to take. I'm in the process of doing that. A CCW is carry concealed weapon, meaning that once you have that license, you can conceal your weapon. You can take like this Canik and I can put it under my shirt where it can be concealed where nobody can see it, right? And that's something that you want to make sure that you want to do, because of course I have, you know, my home defense right now. You know, I have my GSG 16 and my Canik at home, but that's at home. What about when I'm out and about? I want to make sure that I have something on me, right? Now, of course, I could take this is another thing too, which brings me to the whole police thing, right? So I can take these firearms, right? It's illegal if I put it in a glove compartment. It's illegal if I put it in my front seat. It's illegal if I put it in my back seat. It is not illegal if you put your firearm in the trunk and there's no magazine. The magazine has to be out of the firearm and there cannot be a bullet in the chamber. And it has to be secured. It has to be in a box. That's how you carry your weapon when you're out and about, if you don't have your CCW. Now, if you were ever to get stopped by the police and you have your firearms on you and you don't have a CCW, right? And it's in the trunk, it is not the time to be DMX, 50 Cent, or any type of hood dude that you could think of. No, it's time for you to be smart. Now, it's either A, you want to go home in a coffin, or B, you want to go home and have you a cup of tea. You got to pick the two. Now, I prefer the cup of tea, B, right? So when a police officer comes up to you, the first thing that you should know, inform them, is that you have a firearm, not a gun, not a blicky, not a stick. You have a firearm in the trunk. You will be more than happy to pop the trunk or give the officer the keys in order that he can pop the trunk and secure your firearm so he can be safe as well as you can, because you want to live to see another day. That plain and simple. That's how you handle that situation. So I want to talk about another thing too. So my home defense ammo is, I don't know if you can see it, it's polymer hollow point bullets. See that right there? So when it enters inside a person's body, it mushrooms and spreads out like that. This is for my home defense. Let me show you what I use, you know, when I go to the range. It's just these regular 9mm ammunition. When you go to the range, people don't tell you, unless, you know, people that don't go to the range don't know. So therefore they can't tell you. Firearms, even a GSG 22 LR 16, GSG 16 22 LR, it doesn't have a bark to it. It's not like an AR-15, but even that makes noise. And it's to the point where firearms go off and they're extremely loud, and they may bust your eardrum. So you definitely have to, when going to a range, you definitely have to wear, they'll say eyes and ears. So you wear your ears. Demonstrate real quick. I didn't want to make this video long, but it is what it is. Boom. There's your ears. There's your eyes. Because of course, when you're shooting, the projectiles are shooting out, and it may hit your eye, and it could blind you because they're very extremely hot. You understand? Like one time I went, and Pretty Ricky was like, you shouldn't have wore that. One time I went to the range and I had a tank top on, and it hit my shoulder and burnt me. Matter of fact, to be real with you, I took my daughter last week, and she had on not a tank top, but her shirt was kind of like sat low, and she had scabs on her chest because of the projectiles hitting her chest. So what else? If you do not have a weapon, right? If you don't have a firearm, right? And you want to learn and you want to purchase a firearm, I would tell you, once you get here in the state of North Carolina, because every state, and I want to also inform you on that, every state differs in gun laws. But once you get to North Carolina, you know, I would tell you to go to any range and you can rent out a firearm, you can buy the ammunition, and the people that's there will teach you how to shoot. And they'll have eyes and ears available for you. You could rent out the booth. Nowadays they have Groupons, so if you have 3 or 4 people that want to go to the range, you know, they have it for a reduced price. I'm a member, so I don't have to worry about that. You know, but it is very imperative, especially in the black community, that we practice our right to bear arms. It is our constitutional right to protect and defend ourselves just as well as our families. You know, Pretty Ricky put me on. I'm pretty sure somebody put him on, and I got put on by Pretty Ricky, and I'm trying to put you all on you know, gun safety and 2A, and you know, just all about being able to protect and defend yourself. You understand? A lot of nights I'm in here pie slicing. Pie slicing is just like, you know, like having your weapon and slicing, like opening the doors and pie slicing, right? Dry shooting, practicing dry shooting without any ammunition. I'm practicing constantly, you know what I'm saying? And sooner than later, I want to take up some tactical classes in order that I can be able to maneuver and be precise with my aim. So it is very imperative that we spread this knowledge, we spread this information. And I know for a fact that this video is not going to get but so many likes and so many views and so many comments because of the context, you know what I'm saying? Excuse me, the content, you know, but I urge you to share this video. I urge you to comment. I urge you to like it. And I urge you to subscribe. Let's be real, man. I am like the Jesus of these tours. I have basically given you everything you need, a basic survival kit that you need in order for you to live in the state of North Carolina, in specific, Charlotte. Peace.